D23. Is that what we're talking about today?
Well, like, if I hadn't gotten sick, we were supposed to record before D23 Expo and talk about Tiana and your recent trip here and other things. And then I got sick, and now I was kind of hoping we'd record after we knew where the Monsters, Inc. area was going and whether Muppets was safe or not.
And they've given us nothing still.
Yeah, so like we're going to record an episode, and then 2 days later before I post it, of course they're going to announce like, oh, and Muppets is closing. So.
No way. I don't believe it.
Hello and welcome to the ParkTalk podcast with Alicia and Naynay. My name's Alicia, and joining me is, of course, Naynay.
Hi! You better make sure my name is second.
Yeah, I will. No, it's very important. I had to start over. I get top billing. I edit this. I get top billing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, baby. You get it. You get it. Oh, my God. I'm so excited.
You're going to have to do all the talking. I swear I'm losing my voice again.
It's fine. I'll carry.
That's fine. I mean, I did want to talk more about Disneyland news than I did because we talked about a lot of Walt Disney World stuff on the ParkTalk podcast from coming out of D23 Expo. Remember that? That was 100 years ago. It feels like forever.
Like it was so long ago, and that was such a fun episode with Ian. You guys, it's so good. Yeah. So Disneyland. I mean, they didn't give us. They didn't give us anything. It was.
What do you mean they didn't give you anything? Disney's California Adventures getting completely redone again after they'd already fixed it.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. I was like thinking about Disneyland Park, and I was like, oh.
No, I'm talking about the DLR.
Yeah, DLR. Lots of stuff coming to DCA. Where? We have no clue, but I do have my suspicions. I have my speculations.
Well, we can talk about permits were filed for Avengers Campus expansion already. So it turns out dirt is moving.
Dirt is moving in 2028, people. Dirt is moving in...
Earth is moving. Earth is moving, which is a true statement at all times. When was the D23 Expo? How far do I have to go back to find it on the Disney Parks blog? Okay, there it is.
I was in Orlando that weekend.
Yes. Look, okay, let me just start by saying, no, let me go back. The red trolley, the red car trolley, the red car is going away.
Oh my God.
Now, if you look at what Scott Gustin posted on Twitter, he specifically asked, he reached out to the company, does that mean the red car will not be returning? And they said, we're excited to reveal more information in the future. To which I say, Disney, why? Why do you torture us? Just tell us. Just tell us if it's dead. I don't know if they know because they're losing the storage warehouse for the trolley to expand the campus for Avengers.
Right.
And everyone thinks Avatar is going into Hollywood.
Yeah, which I even have some thoughts on that. But I think the thing is Disney really goes off of like turnstile numbers for everything and anything. Like they always go, look for the stats. And they just spent so much money relocating that entire storage barn when Avengers Campus 1.0 opened. And so they're like, oh my God, we have to do this all over again. And I'm sure it's so expensive because it's not just like moving a shed, right? People think it's like, oh, just move the shed somewhere else. It's like, no, they have to literally retrack the entire street. And it's very expensive and it's a big hassle. And also the red car trolley has like, what do you call it? Like the overhead wires.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a track below and above.
It's a production, it's a thing. And they just redid the entire thing. And now they're like, oh God, we have to do it all over again. And I can just see that they're not down. They're good. They probably look at the numbers. Every time I see the red car trolley, I see it moving, but there's like 6 people inside.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. It's for the kinetic energy of the background and the ambiance.
Right.
Now, if you remove Hollywood Land and you've already redone Tower of Terror, then who needs ambiance? Because it's now just Disney movie production world. What does it matter anymore? Welcome to being inside the films.
But why can't the red car, why is it not good enough to have the red car trolley just roam around Buena Vista Street? It's still perfectly fitting. Like it
It's like
doesn't
the
need to go.
Disneyland Main Street vehicles. Like have it
Yeah.
be the yeah. I see the merit in keeping it. I just wish Disney would confirm they are or aren't.
Which then leads me to believe it's like, well, if they weren't, wouldn't they just say they're not? Because they did not hold back at all when talking about bulldozing Rivers of America. It's like if it's on
That's
the
so
chopping
true.
block, they're
That's so
I don't
true.
I don't think they're gonna stop it. Oh gosh, let's really not like let
Maybe
them know that the red car
maybe
trolley is
they're
going away.
ashamed of how small the new trolley path will be. They're afraid to say like it's just going to go back and forth in a little straight line.
That's still great. Like I don't think it's necessary to have it go in front of like Animation Academy. It's fine. Everything is fine. But I personally don't even think that like Avatar is going to be as intrusive to that main strip. I mean, I have no clue. No one knows anything, but I really, really, in my heart of hearts, believe that Pandora is is taking over, just like Muppet Vision. Um, what's it called? Like Muppet Vision, Stage 17, Monsters Inc. That giant empty building that was the food
And
court.
that would literally just be like the entryway into a bigger space behind it.
So
Like the big
I
ride
think
would be
that
hiding behind all that.
exactly. I think that the show building for the ride is going to be the bus stop, like Esplanade
Mhm.
area. So it's not gonna intrude into the like, in any of the space in the theme park. And then they're gonna have that giant plot of land, which is a lot when it's already kind of a lot to walk through. But imagine you
Mhm.
remove all those big, massive clunky show buildings, you're gonna have so much more space, and that'll be enough. That'll be the facade of the
That'll be
attraction and
the
the
land
land
area in
for you to
front of
walk
the
through.
ride. Yeah. And you had said this already months ago when we recorded one of the first park talks. So like if you're right, it's not cuz you're not saying this in response to D23 Expo. This was always your theory.
It's always my theory because it just makes the most amount of sense as far as transitions go. Because at the end of the day, this thing connects to a lot. It connects to Hyperion. It connects to Guardians. It's like, how are you going to do that? It only makes sense to keep everything that's there. And here's another thing. Those structures that are there, people love them and they're people eaters. You're not going to lose like 4 attractions for one Avatar boat ride because
No.
Turtle Talk with Crush, you have Animation Academy, you have whatever that like mini walkthrough is that teaches you how to draw. You have an Anna and Elsa meet and greet. There, you have Off the Page, you have Disney Junior live on stage. You have a Hyperion Theater if they decide to put anything back in there, which they just had that Rogers musical. They're not going to lose all of that for a single like Pandora quick service restaurant and one boat ride. I'm sorry. Like that just doesn't make sense to
But you
me.
think that Monsters Inc is definitely gone.
Oh, Monsters Inc. is gone. And I think that they're strategically
Mhm.
choreographing everything so that they can use all those figures in
Mhm.
Because
If you
those
look at the
figures,
concept art, I
yeah.
swear it looks exactly like Sully reaching around the door with a Boo. Because we've been sitting at that, looking at that concept art, like, why is Boo in that outfit still? Because they're just using the figures from the other ride at DCA. That's why.
Yeah, and that attraction has so many figures, and also I think that they can use things all over the land. We have Harry. What's the sushi place called?
Harryhausen's. Harryhausen's.
Harryhausen's.
That's
There's an
named after the
entire.
innovator of claymation back in the day, stop motion animation,
Oh,
Ray Harryhausen.
I didn't know
Old
that.
school. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
That's a little
there's
nod.
an entire scene there with props and animatronics. It's like they could use all of that even throughout the land at the quick serve or at the is it sit down restaurant or quick service?
Oh,
Do we
we
even
don't
know?
know. No, we
Okay.
don't know.
But I'm just saying like there's a lot in there that they can use and they're 1000% going to reuse all those figures. So I really think it's I just really think that Pandora is going to be in that little section, but I do feel like they can't even start. Like Pandora is so far away because they can't even start on Pandora until they get this new parking structure or whatever it may be, this bridge with the
Right.
new
They
bus
have to move
shuttles. Like,
around all the chess pieces to get to that
mm-hmm,
point.
mm-hmm.
Which is why probably Avengers Campus they can get started on first because
Right.
they only have to just close the barn.
Which let's get into that. Like how I mean, obviously there's no you're not a Disneyland local, so you probably don't care. But like, how do you feel about these Avengers rides? Like, are you gagged in any way? Like, is anyone
Okay,
gagged? I'm confused.
I think the main ride would be good. The Guardians thing is like Mission Breakout is a good ride.
Hmm.
Probably because of who worked on it, who no longer is at the company. Um,
Right.
we miss you, Joe Rody. But Spider-Man, not so good. And it's like the lesser quality Toy Story Mania ride at this park for no reason. So like I'm looking forward to a ride that has a narrative and is actually decent. And I like the idea of going through all different environments from Marvel movies and cinematic. It's like a good little like best of like Forbidden Journey type ride where we get to see all the different things. Sure. It's probably the Peter Pan ride system from Fantasy Springs. I think that's fine. It's not in 3D though, because concept art from Disney would always put 3D glasses on if they were in 3D. And this doesn't have 3D glasses on the people in
Ooh.
the audience. But the Peter Pan ride is in 3D. So every time someone says, oh, it's just like the Peter Pan ride, I'm like, well, is it? Because the Peter Pan ride is a 3D ride and it's exactly the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. And this one is not. So I'm very
So,
intrigued.
okay, so I was just hanging out with Guy Selga, who was just in is it Fantasy Springs in Tokyo or in
Mm-hmm.
Japan? And
It's
I
in, yeah,
asked him, we were
Tokyo
talking, I
Disney
was like,
Sea.
okay, exactly, yeah. I was like, okay, so you just went on the Peter Pan ride. He went on it multiple times. He loved it. So we were talking about Avengers and whatever's coming here. And I was just asking him, like, what is it that you like about the Peter? Like, I'm confused because to me, I guess it looks great, but like, I wouldn't see that POV and be like, wow, that looks so fun. It's just, you're bobbling
It's like a
between
bunch of
screens.
magic tricks, though.
Right. And so that's what he was saying. He was saying that, comparing Peter Pan to maybe like Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man or Transformers, he was saying that the difference between those and Peter Pan and why he loves Peter Pan so much is the movement profile of the vehicle is completely different. And it's hard to convey in video, but when you're on Peter Pan, the way that it moves, it feels like you are not on the floor at all. Like you cannot feel the track below you. And you
Ooh.
are gliding and flying, and it truly feels that way. So when we were talking and discussing, he was like, there's no way that you're going to feel that when you're riding this Avengers ride. Like it's going to be very like hunky clunky, like sloshing you around, throwing you around. They want to make it feel action packed, but Peter Pan wants you to feel like you're relaxing and gliding above the clouds. And so that aspect of the attraction is what he enjoyed the most. And that's what sets it apart than these other versions.
Hmm.
So with that being said, even though Avengers is going to be a version of Peter Pan, right? Because that's Disney's version of that ride system. I don't think it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be anything like the Peter Pan
No,
attraction.
no.
So,
There's a piece of concept art that has like giant Ant-Man, like, and it does seem to look like projection mapped sections, the way that Peter Pan does, where it's multiple screen elements with real stuff to kind of merge it all together and not just be like The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man and Transformers, where you go like from scene to scene and it's screen to screen. So I do think they're going to do a lot of the magic tricks type elements. But yeah, I wonder about the motion profile. Maybe there'll be a flying scene for Wakanda where you get to glide and you get the flying motion without action packed moments.
and by magic tricks, are you referring to like when, like in Spider-Man, where he like is on the screen, but then that giant thing like wobbles, like that
Yeah, like
staircase?
that, like that. But Peter Pan takes it a step further, and I think they do it on the Jurassic World Adventure in Beijing at Universal too, where there's projection mapped like topographical like scenic moments
Mm.
extending the screen, not just like here's a screen with some foreground stuff. The foreground stuff has projections that extend the screen out so it looks more 3D
Mm.
even without glasses. Like it has 3D elements around the screen to bring it into the real world. And I think that Disney's been doing that really well, like the opposite of Ratatouille.
Mm. Yes.
Where it's just a very obvious screen with a very obvious endpoint and a very obvious floor.
Yeah.
This is trying
Yeah.
to erase the seams. And what I'm
Got
very,
it.
I want to say intrigued, but I'm going to say confused. What I'm very confused about is the second bonus attraction that they are building right in front of this e-ticket attraction.
Oh, goodness.
Because it seems like this was the rumor. There's been like 4 different rumored concepts for the e-ticket at Avengers Campus. And this one seems like the one that I heard about, where you'd be in the Quinjet and then it explodes and you all eject and then you all have rocket packs on. And
Mm-hmm.
the ride system would change from a tracked ride to a Kuka ride for all these
Mm-hmm.
like simulator screen moments with rocket packs, which the concept art back then had. Like we took the Quinjet, we went from the Quinjet from here from Avengers Campus all the way to Wakanda, and then we got out of the
Yep.
Quinjet and we're on rocket packs. The thing is, and that looks like what this ride system is, like they're utilizing it, like they already ordered it, they built it, they're gonna like do it without screens. What I wonder is, like, did they get really far in development in this concept and then someone in the room said, what about kids? Because if you're a family of 4 and you're on these jetpacks that all of a sudden explode and separate, and you look over to your left and you see mommy fly away from you, and you're a little kid, there's no way. Disney could not. Maybe
No,
Universal
yeah.
could, but there's no way. Like, you'd have to have some kind of weird loading procedure where, like, make sure you're with your buddy. Like, it's a buddy system because you're in groups of 2 on the Kuka arm. And it's like you're going to be paired up with your buddy because you'll be sharing a rocket pack. And it's like a lot of complicated, convoluted stuff. So that,
Right.
and then by then, the surprise is ruined because you're already being informed ahead of time. And plus, it's really like intense. Like, you have to have a 48-inch height requirement for a Kuka ride like that, so it's
What?
not going to be kid friendly anyway.
Wait,
Look
even
at the Harry Potter rides;
but I
they
just
are
oh
not kid
yeah.
friendly. They're the highest height requirement and like the of all the Potter rides, the Kuka one. So
Am
yeah,
I
I think it's just like this weird testing grounds premise where you just go to use the the recycled ride system they're no longer using.
am I tripping or did I read somewhere that like they're gonna have different Kuka arm ride profiles that match a
Yes.
specific superhero so you can like
Yes.
see what it feels like to like how are you what does that even mean?
I don't
How are you
know.
gonna do
It
that?
swings you around differently. Like what Hulk smash and just goes back and forth. Like Iron Man has like glidey hands and feet, so it feels like you're flying like woo, 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 woo. It's a Kuka arm. It does like 3 things and you can do them to different intensities.
But it is on a like round track, right? Like it does go in a circle, or no? It is it
Yeah, no,
completely
you get on
stationary?
this one ride vehicle. It takes you to the Kuka arm. The Kuka arm picks you off the ride vehicle. The Kuka arm does its swinging. Essentially, it's just extra steps to get you on the Kuka arm. Instead of loading onto the Kuka arm, you load on a tracked thing that goes in an oval to get you to the Kuka arm.
That
It's so
kind of makes me
unnecessary.
nervous. That makes me
It's so
nervous. I'm like,
unnecessary.
I don't want like the Kuka arm to detach off my ride vehicle. Like
I
that's
know
scary to me.
it's clearly the R&D was very proud of this ride system and they want to show it off, and this is how they've decided to do it. I don't see this
Oh
lasting
God.
forever. This isn't like this is like the sum of all thrills. This is not a forever ride. This is an exposition of look at our cool technology, and then maybe one day they'll find a use for it.
And it also seems semi outdoors, correct? Like there's like
Yeah,
a
it's just like
grate on
covered.
top.
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
big covered canopy, outdoor, open space, open air. You could see like the queue and loading area and the concept art. I wonder if this was space allocated for the e-ticket ride they're no longer needing to use because they're not doing a giant Kuka arm dome scene. So they've managed to cram the whole e-ticket into a smaller space, and they're like, and we're gonna throw this out here for fun. So maybe this part of the ride it gets to live where it was going to live anyway, just without the big giant IMAX screen.
I guess I just hope that like, I know that I'm not the target audience, so that, there's not much that I can say, but I just hope that this is for the target audience because there's nothing worse than like when you make an attraction that only appeals to really like a specific demographic and that specific demographic doesn't even like it all that much. Like for example, Millennium Falcon, like such a huge chunk of space and the Star Wars fans don't even like it. So I'm like, who is this here for? You know?
I worry that the MCU is like running out of steam, and that the only thing that's reinvigorated it in recent weeks is the what's his face coming back and being Doctor Doom now or whatever. Like
Oh my
it's
God. Yeah.
Like this is King Thanos as the bad guy, and we're going through the greatest hits of the stuff from like 3 or 4 MCU generations ago. So I
Yeah.
worry. I've been very publicly opposed to MCU being turned into rides like this because it is short shelf life. It moves so fast. Like we have Baby Groot on one ride and Grown Groot on the other, and neither of them are canon because of reasons. So they're just like, oh, well, the rides take place in an alternate universe. And it's like, we're so tired of the multiverse. And you're telling me that
Yeah.
I'm experiencing a ride with characters that aren't even the ones from the movies? Why? I have no emotional attachment to the Rocket that doesn't sound like Rocket on Cosmic Rewind, or Gamora, who's clearly not Gamora from our universe, who lost her memory and got rebooted from a past Gamora. Like, nothing makes sense. It should be adolescent Groot at best. And in the queue for Cosmic Rewind, they explain that Groot sacrificed himself to save all of Xandar and the universe. And that doesn't make sense because he should be adolescent Groot at that point, if that's true. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, all the meet and greet aren't all the meet and greet characters in Avengers Campus, like, aren't all of them dead? Anyway, like, it's like nothing. I mean, they're just doing their own thing at this point.
2 Captain Americas in the same day meeting different people. And it's like, well, you're retired and you already have a new costume. Like, nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense.
Nothing makes sense. But I do seriously hope that, like, the Marvel fans love it, because if they love it, then I guess it's fine. I guess they, that's worth it, right? Meh.
I think the ride will be impressive. I think the thing outside is completely unnecessary, and they're just showing off. Look, we kind of already talked about it, but we didn't actually talk about it. I care about Avatar. I'm an actual Avatar fan. There are several of us. I know it seems like there might be more, but we actually just go and see each movie 6 to 7 times, and that's why it inflates the amount of money it makes. I'm kidding. I only saw it 4 times in theaters.
Oh my goodness.
Way of Water. And I only saw the first one 3 times in theaters. I'm not a true fan. So
oh my God.
I am excited for this. I will travel. This is what would get me to travel to Disneyland.
Oh, thank goodness.
Apparently nothing else had done it. It was going to be this. Like, everything else that I like, they've already cloned over here too. So, like, I don't care. Except Indiana Jones. But I'm getting my own, so who cares? The thing is,
exactly.
Avatar, they're building a different area based on the water area seen in the second film, different from the Valley Morara, which is more like the jungle biome seen in the first film. They said they're going to incorporate things from the third film into the ride, so that's cool. Yeah. Fire and ash, yeah. Mm-hmm. Not the seed bearer, and it looks beautiful. Like, Dylan Cole did the concept art I talked about on the other podcast. Like, the concept art is stunning, and his concept art is exactly how the movies look. So I'm looking at this concept going, well, the ride's going to look this good because this is what James Cameron want. Like, he will make sure it's good. So and I think the Shanghai Pirates boat ride system is perfect for this type of like the beauty and splendor of Pandora on the first half, and then the action and excitement of the second half of every Avatar movie. Like, with that ride system, being able to go backwards and do little mini drops, like it's perfect, and being able to rotate and turn, perfect.
So he did the concept art for Pandora and Animal Kingdom, right? Before that opened.
Oh, I don't know. I think he came on board for Way of Water, so I'm not sure if he did. Okay. That might have been one of his first. I know the musician who did the new movie, who took over for the former one who passed away. He did the land first, and then the second movie. So it's interesting to see scores in the second movie for certain elements were introduced first in the land in Animal Kingdom. So, like, I was already familiar with them when I went to see the movie. I thought that was cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like I remember seeing the concept art for Pandora before it opened in Animal Kingdom. And when you compare the concept art to what we actually got, it's really spot on. Like, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I feel like all other projects at Disney parks, I take with like a grain of salt. But when it comes to Avatar, I feel like James Cameron and Lightstorm
He's not
Entertainment
playing.
and
Mhm.
like they take it very seriously. This is their baby. This is all James Cameron does now. He goes to the bottom of the ocean and he makes movies about the ocean, and he's going to make Avatar movies until he dies or gets his brain transplanted into a robot. And we will be watching Avatar movies for the rest of forever. And these rides are high quality, and he holds it to a high standard. So I look forward to
Yeah.
it, and I don't care if it fits in DCA because nothing fits in DCA. It has
No, yeah,
become
I don't care either.
a joke at this point. I think it's getting renamed. Everyone's convinced they're
Yeah.
finally going to rename the park. What do you think
Yeah.
they're going to rename the park?
I think that it'll be something like movie related. I think that it'll be like you know what I mean? Something that ties in like Disney cinematic adventure or
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That works perfect. DCA.
or like movie. Yeah, and you can
You get to keep
still
it.
Yeah, where did I see that? No, I saw someone say cinematic adventure somewhere, and I was like, wow, yeah, and you do get to actually keep it as DCA. So that's
I
great.
like that. Yeah.
You know, I think that would be great, and it ties everything in, and you know, everything that is in DCA relates to some sort of movie, even like the old stuff like Silly Symphony Swings, like that could still fit into cinematic
Right.
adventure.
Yeah.
You know, it'll fit
Pixar
perfectly.
Pier, even the and they even made San Francisco. So like the areas that weren't necessarily, I guess Grizzly Peak is the last. What do you think about the theory that Avatar is taking over Grizzly Peak?
No, there's no way. There's
But it
no way.
overlays and it fits. This one rock
does.
formation kind of looks like the rock.
It does, but I just really don't think because they
That's
would
losing
never
too much for
touch.
it. Yeah.
They would not touch Soren. Oh, they would not touch Soren.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Oh,
So I'm sitting
they
here thinking
will
about the
not-
boat ride for a
Mm-mm.
boat ride, but no, that is a very good point.
No. They're not going to even get anywhere close to Soren. It pulls in so many people. It is such a people eater. It is like the crown. I think that it's the crown jewel of DCA personally. I mean, people talk about Radiator Springs Racers, and yeah, it is better or whatever it may be, but people love Soren.
But
And-
like Grizzly Peak isn't based on a cinematic thing.
That's true. Well, a Brother Bear.
Is it? Is there Brother Bear
Yeah.
tied into it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll buy that. I'll buy that.
The Creek Challenge is all Brother Bear. So
Okay. I'll buy that. Well, because
yeah.
I was gonna say it doesn't matter. There's way more that is not California than there is movies. So
Yeah.
changing the name and only having one thing kind of not fit is better than 7 things not fitting.
But that concept art for Pandora looks incredible. I am so excited because I feel like it's going to be, you know, when you're designing a land, there's a lot of things that, you know, I'm looking at. And I think that the most important thing is going to be the weenie, right? And the weenie for this land is kind of stunning. You know, we're not getting our floating mountains, but we're getting that like, what would you call it? That like half crescent.
It's because the gravity is so weird. The mountains aren't instead of pulling down to the ground, they're kind of pulling up to the sky. So the mountains kind of form this like magnetic field circle. So it's this beautiful, it's a very spiritual place for the Na'vi because they're more in tune with the Awa over at this place. So, yeah, it makes a great background. It's beautiful, but it's instead of the Hallelujah Mountains where the gravity is so bad they're floating, this is a different formation of weird mountains.
And if they construct this attraction the way it looks like they're going to in the concept art where the boats come outside, I feel like the kinetic energy is going to be insane. Yeah, no, but that's fine. That would be so much fun.
We don't get that here in Florida. Only in California do you have weather well enough, like good enough to have the boats come outside the building.
But I don't know how that ride system does out in the elements, though, because Shanghai Pirates is completely indoors. So I'm hoping that really intense track system can survive outside.
No, we'll find out. I mean, that is just concept art too. So I mean,
it's just concept art.
They had Pandoran seals sitting outside too in the original concept art. I don't think that made it to the new version. But you're going to get your own mess hall. It looks like a Saltuli type restaurant over here. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah, it's really cool. And I hope that, you know, we get that very long rumored Banshee animatronic meet and greet or puppet meet and greet, whatever that is.
It looks like a play area walkthrough thing on the right side. If you zoom in next to the Satuli type building. So like, I wonder if that could have a Banshee connected to it. It almost looks like a yeah, like it looks like a kids play area. There's more tents on the left. There's restrooms and a gift shop. It's got it all. It's a land.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that like maybe, you know, technology will get better or they can figure some I'm sure they can figure something out, but I'd love to see Navi like in the land
Oh yeah, that's never gonna
doing,
happen.
why? They can like they did the giant Hulk. It's like what's different?
They're super skinny. They're skinnier than humans and taller. You're not going to get 8 foot tall people that are skinnier than humans. It's just James Cameron won't allow it. It's too. It's like the characters in Harry Potter. You just they have to be perfect or not at all.
Uh
You could do
uh
puppets. You could do it like the Banshee puppet that's supposed to happen.
yeah. That you can figure I think they could do something. They
You
could
know
do
what it would
something
be?
with
It would be
Navi.
the puppet. It would be the Jack Skellington puppet from Jolly Knights. That's what it would be. That's that's
Oh.
that's appropriately sized. The
Okay,
scale
well
and
it's
skinniness.
it's got to be dark enough so I don't see those giant sticks controlling
No,
the
the sticks are
arms.
visible. Deal with it. You know what? Speaking of DCA and things that are cinematic but not California, Coco.
Coco. I'm really excited for this. Everything that they announced at D23, I'm not personally, obsessed with the IP, but I know that everyone else is. And I'm just like, I feel like I'm like so excited for everyone. I'm not excited for myself. I'm so happy because everyone else is so happy. And I know that this is like what everyone's been wanting. And especially here at Disneyland, like people just love Coco. I mean, people love Coco everywhere. People love Coco even in Orlando or even in Disneyland Paris. Oh my God, people love Coco in Disneyland Paris. So
We got it added to Philhar Magic, and I'm very happy about that. I like that scene, although it cuts a little bit too much and it
yeah,
doesn't stay
yeah,
true to
yeah.
the original format. But that's okay. That's okay. It has a new effect with the blowing the fire at me, and I like it. It's a good song. This ride. This is probably the one I even more than Avatar. I kind of want to go on this ride. I
I
don't know
can't
why.
I can't gauge like what kind of like is it just gonna be Three Caballeros in Epcot or what is that? Why am I tripping on the name? What is it called? Fiesta something? Grand Fiesta Tour.
Uh, yeah, the Grand Fiesta Tour
Yeah.
starring
Is
the
it
Three
gonna
Caballeros.
Yes, yes, yes. Is it gonna be that? I mean, regardless, I love a boat ride. Love a slow moving boat ride. So we're good, but
I
they've got to have
I
some tricks up their sleeves.
the boats themselves look smaller. They look to me more like Navi River Journey sized, which is like a third smaller than like It's a Small World Pirates or even Grand Fiesta Tour.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing this is a Navi River Journey ride system sized boats, free flowing river, not like the controlled Avatar.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think people are assuming it's going to be a smaller scale, like the new Tangled ride at Fantasy Springs, a smaller scale dark ride, not a massive one with a couple really good scenes. And the one in the concept art might be like the biggest scene on the entire ride, which
Yeah.
like if it has projection map runaway railway projection walls for the ceiling with all the fireworks, like this could be a really good scene. Like
Yeah.
the set design is beautiful. It really like lends itself well, like this world, its colorful world lends itself well for a boat ride. So even a smaller scale boat ride, if it has scenes like the Tangled ride, even though people complain like it's a little short, it's still perfect. Like it tells the story. It's like I think of it as like a Fantasyland style dark ride, modern boat ride merged together, where it's
Right.
like it's not 2D flats, but it's also not grand scale gigantic e-ticket ride. It's a good in between.
Yeah. And I think that like DCA doesn't really have a capacity issue. There's a lot of attractions, there's a lot of people eaters. There's a lot to do, so they can get away with doing a smaller scale, smaller loading,
Yeah.
boat ride. Whereas then it didn't really make sense for Navi. I was like, what is going on? Why can you only fit 4 people in this boat? And who thought of this? Like, why would you do
I mean,
that?
it has 3 rows, and you fit 2 to 3 good sized adults in each row. It's not tiny, but depending on your butt size, you might.
Is it?
If
I
you
thought
have
it was
kids,
2
you can
rows.
get.
No, Navi River Journey is 2 rows, my darling.
It is 2 rows.
It's 2 rows. Because I just went on it and I was like, I cannot believe that they made this. And I just looked up a photo and it is 2 rows. And you can
Okay.
basically only fit, I mean, I'm sure you could fit more per row, but fully sized American adults, you can pretty much fit 2 per row.
2. Okay, so it is bigger. Okay, so it's longer, but it's not as wide. It's the same width as Navi River Journey. I'll go with that. It's it's the skinny river ride. Skinny river ride.
Where do you think that this is going?
Oh, I have no idea. This has to be like a Disneyland forward thing, right? Like they have to be jamming this behind something.
Well, I don't think so.
Where's it going then?
Nope. I personally think that they're going to Toy Story Mania style it. And it is going to be right next to Toy Story Mania, where the Pixar Promenade is, right next to the Boardwalk Games. I feel like that'll be the facade and the entrance.
Oh, it is a Pixar movie.
And it'll go underneath the coaster, and there is so much space back there. There is a giant warehouse behind California Screamin' that used to be a parade warehouse that apparently is not being used as a parade warehouse anymore, and it's just used as storage because they moved the parade warehouse somewhere else.
So like Runaway Railway, they're not taking over a ride, and they're jamming it into a weird space that's backstage.
Mm-hmm. They're going to like Tetris it into an already existing land. They're going to Tetris the entrance, and then once you're inside of the entrance, they're gonna like tunnel you under the coaster, and
oh my God,
just like Toy Story Mania.
Pixar
like Toy Story
getting a second good ride besides a coaster. That's amazing.
I mean, who knows? But I truly think that is where it's going. I don't think that this has anything to do with Disneyland Forward. Personally, I could be completely wrong.
You know what's great is that you're thinking innovatively and outside the box and really utilizing space, but also placemaking where things belong and make sense. And if this was Walt Disney World, I'd be like, no, there's no way. But because it's Disneyland Resort, I actually believe you. And I think, no, that is what they would do, because it is what they did with Runaway Railway. And they utilized backstage space and they incorporated it into an improved like Toontown land. And I think this is a way to improve Pixar. I hope you're right. And I think you could be.
Yeah, with Runaway, the entrance replaced a gift shop. But in Pixar Pier, there is a huge gap between the Boardwalk Games and Bing Bong Sweet Stuff. And what that space is being used for is it's a giant open backdrop that like random Pixar characters stand in front of for meet and greets. And it feels like it's just prime real estate for a beautiful facade, a beautiful entrance. And they've done it before. We watched them do it with Midway Mania, where they literally build an attraction under and through the coaster because they already have to. The building's already there. They built the coaster around these giant chunky buildings. So all they really have to do is just gut out the inside of the building, create a tunnel system to go under the tracks. And then behind it, if you really look at the real estate, there is so much space, and they wouldn't even really need to relocate all that much. I feel like they had to relocate more when building Runaway Railway because I believe it was called the N19 building. That building, there was a lot in there. It was a costuming building. It was where all the parade performers got ready, got into costumes, did hair and makeup. It's where cosmetology was. There were offices.
Don't misunderstand me saying that they didn't affect, like, from a guest perspective, they didn't affect anything. Of course, backstage. And that's the issue we're having with Walt Disney World with Monsters, Inc., where, if it goes to Animation Courtyard, they'd have to affect a ton of backstage. And I know it would be easier for them to just take over Muppets and not have to do that. But at Disneyland, I feel like you guys go through the effort.
We go through the effort, but in this case with Coco, it doesn't even really feel like that much effort. It feels like Runaway Railway was way more effort. And Coco just seems like, Runaway Railway, people love it. I'm obsessed with it. But realistically, like Coco's a heavier of a hitter. Like people love Coco. So
where the backdrop is for meet and greets could be a new facade for the ride.
Mm-hmm. And then that giant warehouse that has nothing in it but just like random storage and isn't even being utilized for what it was built for, they could just move all the stuff out of there and build a beautiful show building that doesn't even impede on theme park operations.
So cool.
So that's what I personally think, but we will see.
I like your idea. Is there anything else at Disneyland? Well, I guess Tiana's Bayou Adventure is opening, November 15th?
Lincoln.
All right, we'll talk about it. I was hoping you wouldn't want to talk about it. So I want to talk about Disney World a little bit for 10 minutes at the end, and we can complain. But what do you think of Walt Disney Animatronic?
I'm excited. I am pumped. You guys get all the animatronic shows, so I don't even want to hear it. We get nothing here, so I will take what I can get.
It's great. You're like the exact opposite of Ian on this subject because he thought it was weird and creepy.
I mean, if that was my dad, I'd think it was weird and creepy too, but he's not my dad. He's not my
He's
dad.
everyone's
I
uncle.
don't.
He's
I
everyone's uncle. He's Uncle Walt.
I'm like, I don't know Walt. I was not alive when he was, so I don't care. Make him into an animatronic and make him sing to me. I mean, I really like. I just cannot wait. The article that was posted a couple days after D23, where
Yes.
they've perfected this lighting so that you can see a gleam and glimmer in Walt's eye as he's talking. Are you kidding, Mama? I'm sad.
I mean, okay, I just saw the new Country Bear show, and the talking heads on the wall for the animals have the glint in the eye. Like, we've had this technology. It's fine. It's just a little reflective mirror in the center of the it's fine. We've had that technology. But I
love
do like all of the, I want to say, reverence that they're attempting to put into this. Like, they know it's touchy. I also like that, like, Lincoln stands from sitting, he's going to stand from leaning. So, like, they're keeping the spirit of this space alive for the attraction.
And so one thing to note is that they said that the show is going to rotate with Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, but I heard that basically when this new show debuts for the 70th, it is just going to be Walt Disney for the entire 70th, and then they'll rotate into Lincoln
for the rest of time. Yeah.
For the rest of time. So we're not going to see Lincoln for a very long time. But, which is my favorite attraction, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. And
Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln is your favorite attraction?
Well, it's one of them. Runaway Railway, I feel like, would be my all-time favorite at Disneyland, not Orlando.
In this park, in this specific park.
Yeah, it's Runaway Railway and Great Moments. And then if they reopen People Mover, which they will, it'll probably be that. And that's that for me.
And that makes sense. Carousel of Progress is like your favorite over here.
Yes.
That tracks. Yeah. That tracks. Okay.
It tracks.
This is like John Progress, but like a real person.
Exactly. So let's get into Disney World for a second.
Well, Tiana's Bay Adventure opens over your neck of the woods, November 15th, which is soon.
The entrance already looks so different compared to Orlando's. Like, I'm actually excited to see what happens. They just reopened Critter Country, and I
believe you mean Bayou Country.
Well, no, it's technically Critter Country.
I know.
They said it is Critter Country right now, and then we'll transition later. But did you see that they built a brand new like archway?
No, I just saw the trash cans that said "Keep our Bayou clean."
So outside of the barn, there's this giant archway that they've built, and then another thing to note is they've built a whole tunnel covering the outdoor portion where you do that first dip into the show building. They've gone out of their way to spend all this money to build a whole tunnel. And I can't imagine that you've built an entire tunnel for nothing. So I'm curious to see what's inside of there and why they've spent so much money building a brand new tunnel.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Because Orlando didn't get that. So I think that there's going to be some major differences.
Yeah, I feel like yours is definitely the plus step version. I do want to say 2 days ago, I went to Magic Kingdom and rode Tiana, the initial Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And for the first time, I think I've ridden 7 or 8 times. For the first time ever, every single animatronic was working. Absolutely perfect run. And I was, because like I got like nervous energy after the first time, because the first time the finale animatronics weren't working and they were just frozen, and a couple of Mama Odie's were frozen, and then I rode a second time that day and more of it was working. So when I went and rode a third and fourth time a couple weeks later, I got this nervous energy, like I feel embarrassed for the ride. I'm like, come on, ride, you can do it. And to go on it and just be able to chill and watch all of it work perfectly, I'm like, oh, finally I can just enjoy this ride, because it is a nice enjoyable, relaxing ride if it's working. It's how I get when I get onto Rise of Resistance and I get I anticipate Kylo Ren being in B mode, like this anticipation of he's gonna be in B mode. I could just feel it, and then you swing around, you're like, yay, he's here. Like that's how I felt Tiana the third and fourth time. So like here on the 7th time, perfect run.
I feel like the crazier part of that is that you went on it in the late afternoon, and I've heard, and I guess there's no way that this is true at this point, but someone told me that you need to go on Tiana's ASAP as soon as the park opens, which, I mean, if your boarding group allows for you to go that early, do it. Yeah. Because why the animatronics don't work is because they overheat. So if you go earlier in the morning, then everything works.
Now, it did close for an hour for lightning, but it never closed for technical reasons the day I was there. It was just because of the storm, and even though my group was called, I had to wait another hour. So it was the afternoon, but it did get a little break. But also it was overcast, so maybe it wasn't as hot. No, it was 100-degree heat index, so it was pretty hot. But I will note that when you go to the going down the bayou scene and you go into the like big building area, that AC is pumping. They must be like throwing all the money in the world at this thing to make sure it is cool inside, because then the animatronics will work better. So maybe that's how they're fixing it.
And nobody talks about the smell. Everyone's talking about beignet smell, but there is a smell pumping in that first initial scene. Like as soon as you dip into the show building, open your nose. It smells.
All I'm smelling is
like
AC. It's so cold.
No. I've been on it 3 times at this point in 2 separate trips, and every single time there's this bayou scent. It smells like grassy, swampy green. And and my friends noticed it the second time, but if you don't know that it exists, you don't notice it. But if you know it exists, you will smell it.
That's just what Florida smells like. So I just assume it's just Florida. We're in a bromine swamp. Of course it's going to smell swampy.
No, it smells like grass. Like it almost feels like it's the same smell from Soarin' Over the World, where it like you go to Africa and it smells like grassy, like fresh cut, like lawn.
Okay. I will take note next time I ride, because I'll be going a lot if they start tearing down. Let's talk about the rivers of America while we have a few minutes. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think that it's actually devastating. You know, I can't say that I've never been on your Tom Sawyer's Island. I've never been on is it Liberty Bell? Or what is it? What is it?
Yeah, the riverboat is called the Liberty Bell.
I've never been on it. I've never done anything, river-based. But that doesn't mean that, like, I still think that it is sacrilegious to touch that space. Yeah. It's ambiance, and ambiance is important. And it's not all about just, shoving an e-ticket with the latest IP. Sometimes you need those spaces.
I mean, it's hardly the latest IP.
I mean, yeah,
Cars
but especially
is a bit long in the tooth already.
Especially in Magic Kingdom, like you need that space to just relax and look out into the distance and just have some ambiance, because everything else just feels it's just concrete, like Main Street concrete, Tomorrowland concrete, Fantasyland concrete. It's, you need that, especially with the weather, because don't big bodies of water like that like make the air cooler? Isn't that like scientifically proven?
It's only 3.5 feet deep. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything.
I mean, listen, I'm just saying.
It does look nice and give the impression that it's a relaxing space, but it's a wading pool. That thing is not. When I saw it drained, I was like, wow, how does that giant boat go through this 5-foot trench? It doesn't even make sense. I will say, devil's advocate, first of all bets are off at Walt Disney World. I just saw the new Country Bear show and I loved it, but also I'm sitting here going like, it's weird because I know they did it so that the show could stick around for, another 20, 40 years. And I like, just because I know why they did it and just because I enjoyed the show doesn't mean that it's not weird to see the zombie carcasses of the old bears sing new songs. Like they've reanimated these dead bears to be new again. And it feels like just because you put on sparkling new vest and change the guy's hair doesn't mean he's not like a new, like you changed his name too, but he's singing like Kiss the Girl from Little Mermaid. And it's weird. Yeah. It's just weird. Like if you step out of your body and think for a moment, like this is what Walt Disney World is now. It is the carcass of an old concept that has been reanimated with new properties to like be more attractive to a younger audience. And then for older audiences, we have to watch it like we have to watch our old friend be like Weekend at Bernie's with strings on his arms because it's a lot of stuff that's old at Magic Kingdom that they're trying to make work. Like the Jungle Cruise had some stuff that was inappropriate, so they bring in new stuff that's not inappropriate. But now you just like instead of having a character that was like and I'm not condoning or anything, but a character that was memorable in just standing at the end of the ride with some jokes. Now you have way too much crap. It's like here's a
Yeah.
gift shop with this, and there's two animals here, and it's like, what's the focal point here? It's almost like they're like the skippers will make up jokes. We'll just throw everything, and it's just a hodgepodge, lost and found gift shop thing. And it's like, I think you're almost trying too hard to make something old work, and now it doesn't work anymore at all. And that's what I fear Magic Kingdom is becoming. But devil's advocate, you fill in the river,
Yeah.
you build new mountains instead of being like looking like an old wilderness. Now you look like a national park, and you're going to a national park, and you have like mountains in the background, and you have trails and things, and it's got trees everywhere. It's like a Yogi Bear looking place instead of a Mississippi looking place. And you know what? That could be pretty. It doesn't necessarily need to be. I know we're used to seeing a river there with an island in the middle, but just because we're used to it doesn't mean what they're going to build will be ugly. The cars might detract from the prettiness.
I just think that there is a creative way to have it all. I just feel like there's a way that we can still have a version of the river. I mean, look what they did with Disneyland. Like they shortened it and they made it better. Like our Rivers of America today
Yes.
is 30 times better than what was there before. Like it's so
They're going
much
to keep
better.
a teeny tiny strip over by Thunder Mountain because it connects to a real thing backstage. And there'll be a real bridge there, and there'll be a real body of water, and it will be a delineation from Thunder Mountain to a bridge that takes you to Villains Land. And I think that is enough so that Big Thunder Mountain's views aren't completely ruined, if that makes sense. Like you get a little bit of water over there, and there's going to be a waterfall and a little bit of water on the edge of Liberty Square and Frontierland. So like, I am a sucker for waterfalls. If they keep that from the concept art, I will be a little bit happy. I'm so selfish. I just want a pathway that takes me from Big Thunder Mountain to Haunted Mansion because they're two of my favorite rides. And I get that finally. I've said since I was little, I was like, they need to build a bridge here so I can just walk from this ride to this ride. And they're finally doing it. And I'm sorry if you have to tear down all of Paradise and put up a parking lot. That's what I want. And this is what I'm getting.
For an attraction that is not even going to be able to operate with your weather. Like that's the part that
so what
boggles my mind.
Neither is the Riverboat or Tom Sawyer Island. They both closed on Friday when there was lightning in the area. That's a lateral move, except more people will actually ride it when it's open. I don't think that's not even a great argument because literally the two rides that are there now closed when it was lightning in the area when I was there on Friday. So how is that any different?
All right. Well, how do you feel about Villains?
Okay. I'm cautiously optimistic about Villains. If it gets built, I think it has the chance to be a very good looking area. And I don't know how I feel about another coaster for this park. It's weird when the park that is most geared toward the smallest audiences has the most thrilling roller coasters.
Right.
Like I feel like you need to pick a lane here, and they're going in the wrong direction. Tron is already the most thrilling coaster, like besides Rock and Roller Coaster at the whole resort. And now, like I thought that would be like, I already thought that was a bridge too far. Like I love it. It's like my favorite new ride, but why? Why are we building another thrilling, maybe inversion coaster in Villains when this needs to be the park with the most no height restriction rides? So
my thing with Villains is I really don't want to see that. I don't want to have any sightline issues outside the land. Like I don't really want to see the Villains area when I'm like looking at Cinderella Castle.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
I really feel like the Cars thing was built for two reasons.
To block it out.
To block it out, and two, to build a new path. Because essentially where the right side of the river will be the path to get to Villains in between New Frontiers Land and Haunted Mansion will be that pathway to get to Villains. And this big giant mountain and like mud elevation changes. I'm looking for the word elevation changes. You put a bunch of elevation changes, you put a bunch of trees, you put a bunch of mountains. You're blocking the view of Villains on this side. And then Haunted Mansion and Fantasyland already blocks the view of villains from the other side. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about villains yet until we get more information. I feel like the concept art is too good. And props to the artist. It's beautiful, but it doesn't actually telegraph much to me that I can
Right.
trust.
Right. And also like if we're doing a villain's land and there's only so much space, I don't really want like a Maleficent ride. I don't want that. I want an all-encompassing like
Yeah.
mega movie ride with literally every villain in the book in this one massive ride, and they all come together to just like destroy.
I've already suggested the e-ticket from Avengers Campus should be the main villains ride, where you just get to like, instead of King Thanos, you got Maleficent leading the pack on a voyage through different like villain areas, and there's different characters, but it uses special effects and screens and because there is no like Spider-Man, Indiana Jones type ride vehicle at Magic Kingdom. We don't have that.
Yeah.
We're missing that. So I feel like that would be a good, even if it was trackless, like a Runaway Railway or Rise of Resistance. Like, we're missing that ride system too. So something that incorporates all the villains in an indoor ride, and then you could do whatever for the coaster. I don't care.
I think that they could just be really, really creative with this rollout. I think I would love to see them do what Disneyland did with Toontown, where this land has existed back here this entire time.
Yeah, that's what we said on the last show. It's like, it's the new Fantasyland. We've opened the castle gates, and this is what was behind it all the time. And then this is like, oh no, the villains have broken down a wall behind Haunted Mansion, and this was here the whole time.
And and I know we're about to end right now, but real quick, is there any weight to this like Haunted Mansion restaurant rumor that I've been hearing everywhere?
Oh, I have no idea. I am not plugged in enough to know if that's true or not.
Well, plug in, girl, because we need to know.
I'll put out some feelers. We didn't talk about it, but I'm actually really, 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 really excited for the Encanto ride. And I was a big fan of Primeval Whirl. Not ironically, I literally actually liked that ride. I went on with my niece, and like, she wanted to do roller coasters but wasn't old enough at the time, and that was the one thing her height requirement was good enough for, and she loved it, and we had a great experience. We have a great memory. Like, so I'll miss that ride, but Encanto looks really good. I think a trackless ride through the Mystic Manor Encanto House, I think, is a great idea for that park. I hope they have real animals outside. I'm indifferent about Indiana Jones taking over Dinosaur. I think Dinosaur was never a good ride for little kids, so I don't care. It's too scary. It's scarier than the Jurassic Park ride. How is that even possible?
Yeah, it's way scarier.
I remember going on that as a teenager, and I'm like, do we just get chased by a Carnotaurus? Like, that thing hauled butt. It's terrifying. And I'm looking forward to the food in that area. We have 1.5 minutes. Where's Monsters Inc. going?
It has to go in Animation Courtyard, but I truly feel like it makes sense to put it in Muppet Courtyard. It makes perfect sense as far as it makes. I know, no, and I don't want it. I don't want it to go there. But if I'm looking at it from like a really cold-hearted CEO perspective, it's like, oh yeah, all the facades are there, and let's
do you
just go.
Also take over Grand Avenue and use those facades for Monstropolis in addition to the courtyard for Muppets, so that you have to pass through Monstropolis to get to Star Wars?
Listen, I won't be discussing all the possibilities and how it could look because I don't want it to happen, and I will not be speaking it into existence. So I will discuss how, I think it would fit in Animation Courtyard perfectly because it's a rotting wasteland. But the only thing about Animation Courtyard, two things that I really don't understand. One is Disney Junior is very necessary. It's very extremely necessary. I get that the adults don't get it or they don't care or whatever. Okay, right. It's necessary. So I don't really understand how that would work. And then also,
I would put it in the Shorts Theater right now, the Mickey Shorts Theater. And there's a meet and greet space that has Minnie Mouse and Olaf next door. So it's perfect for a Disney Junior meet and greet and like actual dance show. You just got to tear out the seats.
Yeah. And then also like Little Mermaid, it's so weird that they just announced, like, it hasn't even reopened yet with the new show. No. And they're announcing its demise. Like, I'm confused.
Well, if they did, they would have a year to run that show before they need to remove anything in the foreground stuff because they have to dismantle all the animation courtyard stuff behind it and backstage areas. They could build a gravity building for the roller coaster. They could probably go a year and a half, 2 years before closing Mermaid, and then do that last. And that's where Harryhausen's goes. Like, if it comes to that, and this is where they want to build it, they probably have a good year and a half or more to run that show if they want to save that area for last. Because that's the good thing about doing in here, is it doesn't really impede on guest areas to build that entire Monsters Inc. door coaster. It's not until you need to actually like connect it to the rest of the park that you need to even do anything guest facing.
So I just want to know, what is Alicia Stella's gut feeling? Like, do you think Animation Courtyard or Muppets? I just want to know your gut feeling.
It depends on how I woke up that day. I swear to God, it's like 50-50 all the time. There, and you ask people who are usually in the know, and they're 50-50 too. Like, some people are like dead set, like, don't worry, it's absolutely not going to be Muppets. And then some people are like, oh, you should worry, they're going to announce it's Muppets this Friday. Which, by the way, when I was told that, I told them it's the 70th anniversary for Muppets. There's no way they're announcing it's closing on the Friday. And they didn't, because that would be absurd. But then someone else said, oh, they changed the announcement because they realized it was on the anniversary. And I'm like, well, they're selling a different magnet every single week for the next 70. Like, clearly they care about the Muppets still. What was the question? Yeah, I think it's taking over Muppets. I think it's taking over Muppets. Okay, I think that when it comes to Disney World, they're going to choose what's easier or cheaper or better in the long run. And they want to build Zootopia over an Animation Courtyard next. And they're going to go with that because long term, Disney World cares about the future more than the present.
Or the past.
Oh, they certainly don't care about the past. They will reanimate that corpse and turn it into whatever they want. But you know what? It works for Superstar Limo, and those characters. The Drew Carey got to become a character that's probably going to show up in a door coaster now. Tim Allen and Drew Carey limited motion figures you get to live on forever.
Well, that's that.
But I am excited for DCA getting good rides. Because honestly, they should rename the park a bunch of good rides. Like, it doesn't need to have a theme.
Disney, a bunch of good rides adventure.
Yeah. Let Disneyland care about theme. DCA just wants to get people to coincide.
Well, it's been a fun episode.
Yeah. Hopefully we do this a little sooner than we had the last time. I'm sorry I got sick.
I know. It's fine. We'll figure it out. I'm sure some sort of news. As soon as this releases, we're getting some sort of news.
Well, the day before it comes out, they'll announce that Muppets is getting replaced with Monsters, and I have to like insert me from the future 3 times because we kept bringing it up. Or they're announcing where Coco's going, and we can like say if you're right or wrong right in the middle of the episode.
It's true. It's true. We'll see.
Anyway, we have Halloween Horror Nights coming up. I'm very much looking forward to it. I can't wait.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. Fun. Yes, it's going to be a ball.
Okay. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.
Bye.